Hi, and welcome to my channel. So, if you are new to this channel, I am Dr. Gaurav Deka, and I am a money and business coach. I run a program called ATEPS, Abundance Tapping Expansion Practice Series, and it's a lifetime business coaching, money coaching program for life coaches. Okay, so if you aren't following me so far yet, after you watch this video, if something really deep and profound clicks inside of you, go ahead and follow me. Go ahead and subscribe. And do share this video with someone who might truly need it because I'm going to give you some really unique perspectives that you may not have heard or learned from anyone so far. Okay. I have pulled out a couple of notes because the topic is a little complex, but you will understand, I'm sure. Right. So, yes, I am going to talk about the 7 different things that I do. These are very unique things that you may not have learned or heard from any of the coaches or healers, maybe so far, right? So, most of us, life coaches, people who are working in the service industry, helping people with their body, with their mind, with their nervous system, with their spirit, we think that the multi crore success comes from, let's say, bigger funnels and bigger strategies and posting more content. While all of those things do help, but if that external hardware is not backed by something called identity, like who you are and what do you think about yourself and what are your thoughts about yourself, what are your thoughts about your world, right? If that is not backed by an identity that is rooted in certain forms of value, certain forms of beliefs, certain forms of energy and vibration, then the hardware is not backed by a software. So we need to build a software. And I'm going to tell you how I built my software. I happen to have a multi-crore coaching business. And what I'm going to share with you today come from deep unconventional things, or you can call them habits, or you can call them practices that I do every single day. And they're also rooted in the gods and goddesses that I work with. I practice their work, I involve myself in their sadhana. So I will take the examples of these gods and goddesses while I explain you these 7 different things, unconventional things that I do as a coach that you can also incorporate in your practice, or it might just add an insight to you. Right? So the first thing that I do on a day-to-day basis, every single day, without fail, I ask myself a question and then I take action from that question. And that question is, how can I be in service today? And there is no better God to learn from, to be in service than Lord Hanuman, right? Because Hanuman is an embodiment of service. Everything he does is not only in the service of Lord Ram, but also in the service of everyone, humanity, mankind. He's someone who is constantly focused on how can I serve more? How can I add more value? And that is exactly what I do. That is exactly what I'm doing through this video. I focus on one and one thing only. That I forget about whether or not people are going to buy my service, they're going to buy my course, they're going to buy my program. I give away everything for free as much as I can. I tell all my students that give away all your stuff, give away all your best stuff for free. And a lot of people don't do that thinking that, oh, if people buy my free stuff, or sorry, if people come to consume my free stuff, if they do my free webinars or my free long form videos or free PDFs, free courses, then who is going to buy my stuff, my paid stuff? And that is not true. People often buy because number one, they of course want to be in your energy and they want to apply in your presence. You are going to help them to apply everything that you've given them. And number two, they also buy because in your energy, they change as a person. Their identity shifts. Like you are present, and because of you being present to them, they change. Something about them shifts, right? This is the kind of thing that you may have observed in satsang. So when you go to certain satsang, what happens is you are sitting there. Nothing is being said. Nothing is being talked about. Nothing is being taught to you or educated to you. But you come out of it and you immediately feel a shift. There is an identity shift. You went in as a different person, you came out as a different person. So you have to also be willing to believe that as I give out all my free stuff, the more I give my free stuff, the more sort of content or courses or products or methods or tools or techniques gets downloaded to me. That's what happens to me. I give out my free stuff on Instagram. I give out my free stuff on YouTube. In fact, on Instagram, under every single post of mine, there is a CTA, there's a call to action button. And often the call to action button is not only to buy a course of mine, but because when they comment on the call to action button, they get a free PDF. And it's not like fluff, it's really valuable PDF. Recently, I did a call to action on how to create the same kind of energy that the Mahavidyas create in your marketing. It was a very unique one. Then I did another one on another PDF on what are the kind of marketing questions you need to ask yourself if you are resonating and vibrating with the Mahavidya goddesses, right? Then I did one on how I use my sexual energy in my business, right, to create and grow money, and that was one of the most popular video. Then I did one on how to tap into your inner Kali in the way you show up in your marketing. So these are very valuable and unique approaches that people will think, oh my God, that's like paid stuff. But I don't treat them like that. I give them away because I am rooted in service of people. I really, really want to serve them. And that is the reason why people come and buy from me. I have like hordes and hordes of people coming and buying from me. Currently, I'm running a program. I'll talk about it in the later part of this video. It's called Mohini, the power of being magnetic in your business. It's about how you create an identity and let that identity like transmutate wealth for you in your business, how to become magnetic. And we have over 120 people. The program was still yesterday priced at 25,000. And from today onwards, it's 42,000. And we have over like 120 people. It has made me over 30 lakhs. And that has purely happened because I was in deep, deep service. I was constantly focused on service. So that's the thing that I have really learned from Lord Hanuman. Be in service in everything that you do. Give out everything for free, right? That's number one. And number two is focusing on the solution. Again, I'm taking the example of Lord Hanuman again, focusing on the solution, right? So when Lakshman was suffering and he needed the Sanjeevani to be saved, to be alive, then everyone was searching for Sanjeevani. And Hanuman did not exactly know how it looked like, but he was focused on the solution. So what he did when he went to the mountain to figure out where the plant is, and he could not find it. But so what he did is he brought the entire mountain so that the finders, the herbologists, the doctors can identify this Sanjeevani and then apply it, and Lakshman survives. Right? That is the story in gist. What I want to focus on is that how not only is he rooted in service, but he's rooted in solution. That is constantly thinking about the solution. If the solution is not in hand, if he does not know the expertise of the solution, for example, he did not know how Sanjeevani looked like, or he did not know where exactly it is located. So he got the whole mountain. So your attitude for the solution and demonstrating the solution is more important than you exactly knowing the solution. So what I do is I always ask myself that what is my point of focus today? What is my result line? What is the impact that I want to create today? If because of my appearance, if because of me speaking, if because of this video, one person's life could change, just one, right? Who would that person be? So I'm very, very solution centric. Even in the content that I create for people, the webinars that I do, the masterclass that I do, right? It's always very, very solution centric and very focused. So I take one solution and I focus on the solution, and I ask myself that if there was one person through this post, through this email, through this video, through this reel that could be benefited, right? That I could solve for, who would that person be and what would I do? So I don't think about pleasing hundreds and thousands of people through my posts, through my reels, through my videos. That's not my point of view. My point of view is, if this could be a solution to someone, who would that be and how would I show up? That is the only question that I ask. I'm very, very solution centric. So the more you are solution centric in the way you show up, in the way you market, in the way you sell, and in the way you create content, in the way you write your emails, in the way you do your videos, in the way you do your webinars, in the way you talk to people one on one, not only online, but even offline, outside, if you talk to people, right? Prospective clients, send them with a solution. Send them with something that is valuable to them. Send them with something that could be life-changing for them in just one conversation, right? And often that doesn't have to be something technical. Because how I know this is, I'm most of the time talking about my life, my struggles with depression, my struggles with my sexuality. I'm often talking about how I overcame those struggles. I'm often talking about how my mother helped me through the days of my depression. I'm often talking about how I included my excluded dead ancestors. I'm often talking about how I healed my childhood traumas, and people take inspiration from that and they get the solution from that. So you don't have to do something technical, methodical. You don't have to be certified in a certain technique to actually create value for people and solution. That's not true. Your life story could be the most moving solution for people, right? So be solution centric in everything that you create on a day-to-day, daily basis, right? The third point that I wanted to talk about that I do is, this is a little unique, okay? So what I do is I use less of my upper three chakras. So these upper three chakras is the crown, the third eye, and the throat, right? With the crown, we are intellectualizing, analyzing, rationalizing. With the third eye, we are envisioning, manifesting the vision, visualizing, right? And looking into the future. Things will happen, things will not happen. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Will posting this reel give me these many number of views? Will it not give me? With the throat, we are expressing, we are into self-expression, right? And with the throat, we are also communicating, and then we are also constantly judging our throat. Like, I might be constantly judging my throat right now, that am I saying the right words? Will the people who are watching this YouTube video, will they like it? What if they find some word of mine offensive? What if they think that this idea is not good enough? What if they leave bad comments under my video, right? So I use less of this, right? I use less of this, and I use more of my sacral. The sacral is the second chakra, just after your root chakra, right? And I teach this a lot in my courses, by the way. I teach this a lot inside Mohini, how to show up from your sacral. Because if you're showing up from your sacral, what happens is you are using less of all of this intellectual ways to show up and more impromptu. So when an idea comes to me, right, I'm constantly channeling that idea through my sacral. Because you see, the sacral is the root of all creation. The sacral chakra is governed by the element of water, right? And the goddess who is associated with the sacral chakra is Ma Matangi, right? She's the goddess of non-intellectual wisdom, wisdom that comes from beyond intellect. So the intellect is provided by, of course, Saraswati, right? And that is also important to translate the non-intellectual into intellectual. That's important. But what I have seen is that the more I bring all those intellectual judgments in my act of creation, the more I stall and stop and halt my creation and block my creation. So what I do is I'm constantly functioning from my sacral, right? I'm functioning from the illogical. I'm functioning from intuition. I'm functioning from download. I'm functioning from channeling. I'm functioning from um, all that is flowing inside of me, like water, instead of trying to organize, put things in a discipline mode, right? For example, I would never do a content calendar, like organize my content and then keep putting out every single day. I would never do that because I'm incapable of doing that. I am always impromptu. Thoughts come to me, ideas come to me, I immediately put on to use. I immediately put it out. I don't worry about whether people will like it, not like it, whether I will get views, not get views, whether someone will see the content and buy my program, come to my profile or not, nothing. I just create, create, create. And because I create without judgment, therefore, I'm also able to transcend time. I don't take a lot of time to create. So people spend hours and hours and hours, trying to write down the notes of a masterclass that they are going to do. They will write down all the notes of a live that probably they are going to do. Even I note down points. I do that. But I don't spend a lot of time. If I'm writing down notes, for example, I have some notes in front of me, I probably have done it in like 5 minutes because I'm in a constant state of flow. And creating from the sacral is not something we can learn intellectually. It has to be embodied. It has to be felt in the body, which is why even though in this video I'm talking about creating from the sacral, it is an experience. It's something that I teach inside Mohini, and it's a body experience, like how you can tap into your sacral, bring out the creative energy from your sacral, because the sacral is also the seat of birthing, right? That is the place where the human womb is there. Whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, everyone has a womb. And from the womb, a human being is born, a baby is born. So it's the highest seat of creation, isn't it? It's the highest seat of creation. It's the highest seat of germination. And it's automatic creation. It's like constant creation. So if we can bring that energy into the way we create our courses, our offers, our programs, our content, our emails, right? Imagine how much you will be able to create, because it's an endless ocean of creation. I say ocean because the element is water, and it's controlled and it's governed by Ma Matangi, Devi Matangi, who basically blesses you with wisdom that is beyond your intellect, that is beyond all rationality, that is beyond all logic, right? Which means that when you do pray to Matangi, which I do, there's a constant flow of energy through your sacral. There is a constant transmutation of the sacral energy, the intuitive energy, or the sexual energy, which is also, by the way, the energy of creation, into wisdom that you can bring out in the world. So I'm constantly creating from the sacral, and creating from the sacral helps you to transcend time, which is why I can create a lot of content, and then I'm creating offers, and then I'm going in my coaching containers and coaching them. And I'm running like 3 containers, and I'm coaching in all 3 containers. I'm coaching inside a program. I have a lifetime coaching program called 8 Steps. I'm coaching there. I have a mastermind called the 1 Crore Challenge Mastermind. I'm coaching there. I have Mohini going on. I'm coaching there. I have an inner child program going on. I'm coaching there. And I'm able to do that is because I'm not trying to intellectualize the process, which is why I'm constantly transcending time. Creating from sacral helps you to transcend time. In fact, I have a deliberate thought that I keep on repeating throughout the day. Time is constantly dilating around me. Time is constantly dilating around me, inside me. Time is constantly dilating around me, inside of me. I keep on saying that, which means time dilates in my presence. I don't feel time. So that's from Mama Tangi. The other one also from Ma Matangi I wanted to say is that whether I'm creating content, whether I'm creating offers, whether I'm creating content or programs, I'm always creating from my inner uchishta. Uchishta means leftovers. You eat food, right? And then you leave some food after eating, like chuta. In Hindi, it's called chutan, right? You eat and you leave some food. The leftover, the residue, the waste, that is called uchishta. And you have to ask yourself, what is my uchishta? So uchishta is everything that probably you have been judged for, you have been pained for, or maybe you have been shamed for. For example, for the longest time, I thought my uchishta is my sexual expression, because that is the thing that I was judged for most. I thought my uchishta is my soft nature, right? Is the inner femininity, because that is again the part that I was judged for most, right? I thought my uchishta is all the shame that I encountered because of being a queer person. Because again, that was something that I was judged for. Now I bring all of that into my offers. For example, in Mohini, I'm talking about a lot about feminine embodiment. I'm talking a lot about identity. I'm talking a lot of unmasking the shame. I'm talking a lot of how to transmutate your sexual sacral energy into wealth, into money. All those things that I was at some point judged for. And one of the classes inside Mohini that we did recently was about how to create from what you think were the leftovers of your life, were the painful moments of your life, were the shameful moments of your lives, things that you will never talk to about in public, things that you will never feel like expressing in public, things that you will feel that people will judge you for. And trust me, the more you create from that part, whether you create a program, whether you create content from all those parts of you, which are your deepest vulnerable parts, rawest parts, parts that you still carry shame around, parts that still bring the cringe, past that still feels that, oh my God, if I express this, then people outside might reject me, leave bad comments. Those are what are going to make you successful and make a lot of money. Which is why I'm constantly talking about parts of my life or my mind or my experiences in my content, which is around those parts which I may have excluded, that I may have carried an internal shame around, that still brings up pain. That is the deepest part of my wounds, right? So I'm constantly creating, whether my content or my offers, from my inner uchishta, right? Let's say my messy notes, my abandoned ideas, or maybe my shame stories. If you go to my Instagram, you will find a lot of my posts which people have read and left really meaningful comments. In fact, my buyers, people who buy from me, often tell me that, Gaurav, we buy from you because you represent this so real and raw version that we have wanted to become. So when you share your uchishta, what happens is people get attracted to you. That is the real seduction and that is the real mohini. Why? Because then you are not enacting, you are not pretending. You are just being who you are. You are bringing out all the messy stuff in public. And I'm not saying that you have to wash dirty laundry in public. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that bring the parts that still make you feel vulnerable. Bring the parts that you think people are going to judge you for. Bring the parts that you yourself have shame around, right? Because then the right people will start vibrating with those parts. And as a result, they are the ones who are going to buy from you because they want this identity of yours. They want this identity who is so brave, who is so wild, who is so courageous, right? That's number two. Sorry, that's number four, right? Okay. I talked about service. Then I talked about solution-centric. Then I talked about uchishta. Then I talked about creating from sacral, right? Now let's go to expression, okay? And expression is, I recently did a video called Tapping into Your Inner Kali. So I was watching a podcast, and in the podcast, there was this um, guest who came, and she said that, you know why Ma Kali is so magnetic. She's wild, but she's so arresting, right? And she's so fierce, but at the same time, like if you look at her, you just feel so arrested. You just feel so magnetized by her. You know why that happens? Because she's devoid of all conditionings. She's devoid of all conditioning. So I am constantly tapping into my inner Kali. So if you haven't watched that video, go and watch that video. It's called Tapping into Your Inner Kali. I'm constantly tapping into my inner Kali, where I tell myself that it doesn't matter how I show up. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing, whether I look good or not, whether I'm speaking in a way that is intelligible, legible or not, whether my video is edited, not edited, whether I am speaking in a way that people understand, don't understand, whether my Zoom background is okay or not, or whether the lighting is good, uh, or am I making sense even when I'm talking? So I don't do that. I tell myself that just like Makali, there is no permission in the world that I need in the way I want to show up. my self-expression is dependent only and only on my decision. And that applies to everywhere. The way I craft and create my offers, the way I decide my pricing, um, the way I invest, the way I launch. So I always ask myself this question: if I wasn't afraid of losing approval, what would I do? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If I was not afraid of losing approval, what would I do? Right? So even for you, before you take your next decision around anything, like, let me not show up this way. Maybe I'm wearing a dress or a nighty maxi and let me not show up this way. Or maybe I want to launch an offer, but I don't know how people will respond, right? Let me not do it. I want to make this investment in this program and I want to study this and I want to join this container, but I don't know what my in-laws or my husband would say with that kind of investment that I make for myself. So before you stall that, before you halt that, pause, right? And then ask yourself that, am I doing this from fear of rejection or from truth? Am I doing this from fear of rejection or from my truth? Because honestly, the way you run your business, the way you take decisions around your business, the way you create wealth, the way you create your offers, the way you present to them to the world, the way you talk about them, whether you want to go 7 times day live or whether you want to do 7 days, challenge or go out there, talk to people, or you want to appear in your stories, like 50 stories in a day, whatever you want to do, whatever that is. Like, I may not have all the options. Are you still seeking permission? Do you still thinking that there is a right way to do it? Not, no, there's a wrong way to do it. Are you still in some internal should and should not? Because there is none. There are no rules to creating wealth in your business. And if you're a life coach watching this, I'm telling you once again, there are no rules to the way you want to create business. Your business is yours. You are the CEO. You are the inner Kali of your business, right? I do that all the time. That is the energy I'm constantly coming from. And you can feel that energy in this video of mine, right? And talking about self-expression takes me to another deity, right? Another deity, which is Ma Chinnamasta. So once again, combining some of the knowledges that I have already spoken about, Ma Chinnamasta is, again, she's the sixth Mahavidya and she is residing in the throat chakra. And if you look at her image, it's the iconography, it's very, very fierce because she takes, like a sword, and then she decapitates her own head, and there is blood moving out of it, and that blood is being fed to two of her to her dakinis, right? But the observation point is the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra is gone. All centers of intellectualism, analysis, this whole neocortical activity through which we are very analytical, very mathematical, very disciplined, right? These are gone. The another observation point is that she's standing on Rati and Kamdev, and they are both in an intimate posture. They are copulating, right? So she's standing on this field of sexual energy. So one might say that she has total victory over lust. But the other point of view is also that she's transmuting all that sexual energy, right? And she's expressing. So she's this furious, wild expression, right? In the way she shows up. Like when you look at her iconography, you're just taken aback sometimes. But the other thing is that she's transmitting all that sexual energy, right? In that furious, wild expression. So it's a combination of self-expression in the wildest form, in the most raw form, in a form that may not be digestible for everyone. And at the same time, she is transmitting all that sexual energy, right? So this again tells us that self-expression, when we come from a raw, wild, sacral state, it may not be digestible for everyone in the audience. For example, in my case, not everyone can digest. I do get hate comments a lot on my content, but that's not the people that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the people who resonate with my content. I'm looking for the people who really love me for the things that I talk about. I'm looking for the people who are already vibrating with what I'm speaking, what I'm teaching, which is why I always attract people who are sold out. I never get objections from people. I never get price objections. Like even when I'm selling ATEPs, ATEPs is priced at 5 lakhs, my lifetime money and business coaching program. I never get price objections. Every person who comes in and says that I followed you for these many number of months, these many number of days. I've consumed all your content, all your podcast. I also have a podcast called You Are Money on Spotify. And I've consumed all of these things and you make so much of sense. And that is the reason I'm totally sold out for this program. And either they will say, please send me the details, please send me the bank details. I want to get inside the program. Either they will say that, or they would say, please give me some time to arrange the money. I'm coming in. But I never get objections. That is because I'm constantly looking at those people through my self expression who resonate and vibrate with me instead of trying to please the crowd. Chinnamasta does not please, right? Chinnamasta does not please. That's something that you have to understand. So don't try to please the audience. Show up in a way that may not be digestible for everyone, but then because you show up in that way, there are people already vibrating with that frequency, right? And the last one is I'm constantly, again from Chinnamasta, I'm constantly transmuting the sexual energy into abundance, into wealth. And I have taught an entire class on how to do that. It's a bonus class inside Mohini called We Live in a Seduction-Based Universe. So in that class, I have actually taught how to transmutate sexual energy into the energy of wealth and abundance and money. And there is an interesting thing that I do, that it doesn't matter what energy people are sending me. I'm constantly imagining in my brain that people are sending me their thoughts or their energy, or they're watching me, my reels, my post. Some of them are feeling grateful, appreciation, a lot of insight, but some of them are feeling, let's say, jealous, or they are feeling insecure, or they are sending me bad energy, right? They are sending me probably stuff like evil eye nazar. That's okay. When I activate my sacral field, I imagine all of those things entering, all of those thoughts and energies entering my sacral field and transmuting into money. And this is an exercise. This is the whole step-by-step process that I teach inside Mohini under the bonus class section, which is called We Live in a Seduction-Based Universe, right? So I'm constantly transmuting everything that is being sent to me consciously, unconsciously into money. And that is a thought, that is an image that is always there, that no matter how I show up and no matter what is the reaction of people towards me, all of those reactions can become money, which is why most of the time, anything that I post, right, it will bring me money. And that too with such a small audience size. And I am calling it small because I have around 5,000 people as I record this video. Maybe at some point it might just become 20,000. But then, imagine the ratio that I have. Like, look at the math. Mohini, up until now, was 25,000. From this video onwards, it is 42,000. At 25,000, I have over 120 people who have come, right? It has made me a revenue of 30 lakhs. Look at the conversion ratio, that up until now, I had 5,000 people, of which 120 people are already in the program and more people are coming. The ratio is so huge. Traditional business coaches will tell you that, oh, it's like 1% ratio or 2% ratio, right? You would have to have a huge audience size in order to have 100 people into your program. I don't need a huge audience. I need my truth. An audience continues to vibrate with that truth. And therefore, I have such large number of people coming into my programs, even with a smaller audience size. My conversion ratio are like through the roof, through the sky. Right? So that is something that you need to do. These are my 7 things from Lord Hanuman, Ma Matangi, Ma Chinnamasta. In fact, I'm going to make another video on Ma Chinnamasta. If you haven't watched Tapping into Your Inner Kali, please do watch. But these aren't just random habits, right? And they are my inner operating system, my inner software. And that is the reason why my business as a life coach, as a business coach, is so magnetic. And that's why my audience, they don't just watch. They consume and they immediately buy because they feel the truth, they feel the value, they feel the service, they feel the energy, right? And they want to be in this identity, as I told you. And here's the thing, that you can't just listen and intellectually copy them. They can provide us insights, but you also have to embody them. You have to practice them, right? And that is what we do inside Mohini, right? The power of being magnetic in your business. It's a 4 live call container. 2 calls as of today, as I record this video, is already done. 2 more are remaining. There are bonus calls also inside. But more than whether or not these are live or not, or whether or not you will watch recordings, it's going to be there for lifetime for you. And it's a highly activating container. It's not just a coaching container, it's a highly activating container consisting of 4 deep transmissions. I'm not even calling them class because they are truly energetic transmissions. It's a combination of regression work, mantra work, tantra work, constellational work. There's a lot of ritual involved, and it's like at a very body somatic level. It's activating, which is why we don't intellectualize a lot. But then people have like immediate shift after like a 2-hour class, right? So that is why I'm calling them transmissions. And the whole energy will go into your nervous system, into your presence, into your offers, into your selling, into your entire business, right? You would just become the most magnetic person in the world. And we still have it open, and you can still get inside. After watching this video, like now that you have finished it, the only thing that you need to do is go to my Instagram and drop me a DM, Mahavidya. Mahavidya. Together. Don't keep space, just together. Mahavidya. Mahavidya. Doesn't matter whether you do it in caps or whether you do it in small letters. Just send me the DM Mahavidya and I will send you the link to Mohini. It's at 42,000 and it's worth getting inside because the ROI, the return on investment, is going to be 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x. That's the level at which people are creating inside this room. Okay. So my invitation to you remains open. I will see you inside Mohini. Enjoy and do share this video with someone who might need it. When we share it, our wealth frequency and money karma simply goes up, right? I'll see you soon. Bye bye.